A man doesn't respect you because you've sacrificed your whole youth for him. He respects you when you know how to respect yourself, honor your own principles and boundaries. Men, especially older men, they become mesmerized, almost willing to dedicate their entire lives chasing after women like that. The women who command the deepest respect aren't the ones who give the most. They're the ones who know exactly what they won't accept. Welcome back to Journey After 60. Today, I'll share 5 powerful boundaries that make men value and respect you, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Boundaries aren't walls that push love away. They're the framework that keeps love healthy, safe, and real. They're not about being harsh or unkind. They're about being clear, confident, and true to yourself. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support helps us reach more women who need to hear this message, and it means you'll never miss tips that help you grow in confidence, clarity, and connection. Let's start with the foundation, the one boundary that shapes every other part of your relationships.
Number 1. The boundary of self-respect. The first boundary is perhaps the most fundamental. This means you speak to yourself and about yourself with the same kindness you'd show a dear friend. You refuse to participate in conversations where you tear yourself down, apologize for existing, or dismiss your own accomplishments. When you respect yourself, you set the standard for how others should treat you. Men are naturally drawn to confidence, not because it's aggressive, but because it's authentic. A woman who honors herself gives permission for others to do the same. My friend Linda, at 61, had spent years deflecting compliments with self-deprecating jokes. "Oh, this old thing," she'd say about a beautiful dress. "I'm such a mess today," became her automatic greeting. She'd dismiss her decades of teaching experience as just classroom work. Then something shifted. Linda decided to simply say thank you when complimented. She stopped apologizing for her opinions. She began speaking about her achievements without minimizing them. Instead of, "I'm probably wrong," but she'd say, "I think," or "My experience shows." The change in how men responded to her was immediate and profound. They began seeking her thoughts on important matters. They spoke to her with more consideration, more genuine interest. One gentleman at her book club told her, "There's something different about you. You carry yourself like you know your worth." Maya Angelou once said, and I'm putting this in my own words, "When we truly respect ourselves, we teach others how to treat us without saying a word." Our self-respect becomes a language that everyone understands. But respect isn't just about how you treat yourself. It's also about the time you give away. Number 2, the boundary of time and energy. As they say, time is the most valuable gift you can give someone because you can never get it back. That's why the second powerful boundary is protecting your time and energy like the precious resources they are. This boundary means you don't drop everything every time someone calls. You don't cancel your plans to accommodate others' last-minute requests without good reason. You understand that your time has value, and you treat it accordingly. You schedule time for yourself and guard that time just as fiercely as you would an important business meeting.
Men respect this boundary because it signals that you have a rich, full life of your own. It tells them that you're not sitting by the phone waiting for their call, that you're not rearranging your entire existence around their schedule. This isn't about playing hard to get, it's about actually being someone worth getting. When you protect your time, you're also protecting your energy. You're saying no to the things that drain you so you can say yes to the things that fulfill you. This makes you more interesting, more vibrant, more magnetic. I've noticed something fascinating over the years. The women who are most generous with their time to everyone often find themselves valued by no one. But the women who are selective, who choose carefully how they spend their precious hours, find themselves surrounded by people who truly appreciate their presence. This boundary also extends to emotional labor. You don't become everyone's therapist or problem solver. You offer support and care, but you don't sacrifice your own well-being to manage other people's emotions. When was the last time you said no to something that didn't serve you so you could say yes to something that did? Share in the comments below. I'd love to hear about a time you protected your time and energy. And beyond your time, there is an even deeper boundary. Number 3, the boundary of emotional safety. The boundary of emotional safety means you refuse relationships that involve manipulation, cruelty, or emotional chaos. You don't accept being yelled at, belittled, or made to feel small. You recognize that healthy love feels safe, supportive, and uplifting. This boundary transforms how men see you because it shows you understand your own worth. When you refuse to engage with emotional chaos, when you calmly remove yourself from toxic situations, men realize they're dealing with someone who won't tolerate disrespect. Emily, a 59-year-old teacher who was dating a man who had a habit of mocking her feelings. Whenever she shared something that mattered to her, he'd laugh it off or tell her she was too sensitive. For months, Emily tried to be understanding, to not rock the boat. Then one evening, after he dismissed her concerns about her aging mother's health, Emily stood up, gathered her purse, and said, "I won't be spoken to this way. When you're ready to treat me with respect, you know how to reach me." She left. 3 months later, he called her, not to ask her out, but to thank her. He told her she was the first woman who had ever held him accountable for his behavior, and it had changed how he saw relationships entirely. While they didn't get back together, Emily had taught him and herself a powerful lesson about worth. This boundary also means you don't engage with emotional manipulation. When someone tries to guilt you or gaslight you, you calmly but firmly refuse to participate. You don't get drawn into drama or circular arguments. You know, there's truth in what Eleanor Roosevelt said, and I'll put it in my own words. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. When you protect your emotional safety, you're simply refusing to give that permission. Once emotional safety is in place, the next boundary is about your body and soul. Number 4, the boundary of physical and intimacy standards. The ancient Greek philosopher Epictetus understood something profound about patience, and I'll share this wisdom in my own way. Those who know their true worth feel no urgency to convince others of it. The boundary of physical and intimacy standards means you set the pace of intimacy and don't compromise on what feels right for you. You don't feel pressured to move faster than you're comfortable with, and you don't apologize for having standards about how you want to be treated physically and emotionally. Men respect this boundary because it shows them you value yourself too much to settle for less than you deserve. When you're clear about your standards, men know they need to step up to meet them. This isn't about playing games. It's about honoring your own comfort, safety, and values. This boundary also extends to how you allow yourself to be touched, spoken to, and treated in intimate moments. A woman who knows her worth doesn't compromise on respect, even in the most tender moments. When you honor this boundary, something beautiful happens. The right men will naturally respect your pace and your standards. They'll appreciate that you're not rushing into anything, because it means when you do choose to be close, it's a genuine choice, not a desperate grab for acceptance. I've observed that relationships which begin with mutual respect for boundaries often develop into the deepest, most satisfying partnerships. When both people feel safe to be vulnerable at their own pace, the intimacy that develops is profound and lasting. This boundary is about recognizing that your body, your emotions, and your energy are sacred. You don't owe anyone access to any part of yourself just because they want it or have been patient. Please share this video with a friend who needs to hear this message. Sometimes the women in our lives need permission to honor their own standards. And finally, the most powerful boundary of all. Number 5. The boundary of independence. The fifth and perhaps most magnetic boundary is the boundary of independence. This means you have your own life, your own passions, your own sources of fulfillment. You don't need a man to complete you. You invite him to complement the already full life you've created. Men value women who have their own lives because it takes the pressure off them to be everything to you. When you're independently happy, your joy becomes a gift you share, not a burden you place on someone else's shoulders. This makes devotion grow naturally because men feel drawn to your light rather than obligated to create it. Independence doesn't mean you don't want partnership. It means you choose partnership from a place of strength rather than need. You bring your whole, complete self to a relationship, and you expect the same in return. This boundary also means you don't lose yourself in relationships. You don't abandon your friends, stop pursuing your interests, or change your values to accommodate someone else. You remain fundamentally yourself while being open to healthy growth and compromise. I've noticed that women who maintain their independence often find themselves in relationships where they're more valued and respected. Why? Because their partners know they're there by choice. There's incredible power in being with someone because you want to be, not because you're afraid to be. This boundary is about maintaining your own opinions, dreams, and sense of identity. You don't become an extension of someone else. You remain beautifully, authentically yourself. Save this video for later. because these boundaries aren't always easy to implement at first, and you might need these reminders as you practice honoring your worth. As I've learned over the years, and this echoes the wisdom of many who came before us, we accept the love we think we deserve. When you set these 5 boundaries, you're declaring to the world that you deserve love that honors, respects, and celebrates who you are. Because, in the end, boundaries don't push men away, they make the right men come closer. At this point, you've already learned the powerful boundaries that make men truly value and respect you. It starts with self-respect, then protecting your time and energy, guarding your emotional safety, setting clear standards for intimacy, and finally, maintaining your independence with a full, rich life of your own. The strongest love doesn't come from doing more. It comes from knowing what you'll never accept. These boundaries aren't about being difficult or demanding. They're about being clear. They're about understanding that true love flourishes, not in the absence of boundaries, but because of them. When you honor yourself this deeply, you create space for love that honors you in return. The most beautiful relationships I've witnessed in my 6 decades weren't built on sacrifice and compromise of self-worth. They were built on 2 whole people choosing each other every day, respecting each other's boundaries, and growing together in mutual admiration. Do you have a story about using these principles to create deeper respect in your relationships? Or perhaps a question about setting boundaries at this stage of life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what another woman needs to step into her power. And remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on living your most empowered life after 60. Check the description for additional resources that will support your journey toward becoming the confident, respected woman you were meant to be. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you in the next videos.